Hello there, I'm Mr. Chime from weeklybagel.com, and today is my first time expanding into the YouTube platform. And I've been contemplating this for 6 years now, and finally I've decided to just jump in because I believe a majority of my audience are on YouTube, so I feel like expanding to YouTube is going to help me in a very big way to reach them. Now, what am I all about? Well, like I said, my name is Chime. I am the founder of weeklybagel.com, a personal finance platform whose goal is to simplify personal finance and the cost of adulting for young working class Americans. And how long have I been doing this? I've been doing this since COVID started, 2020. This is my 6th year. Usually on my platform, what I do is I write the articles that are geared towards simplifying personal finance for young working class adults. And earlier this year, I integrated a podcast so that my audience can actually hear my voice, so I can talk to them the way I want to talk to them, instead of just writing articles to simplify personal finance for them. And so far, it's been quite the journey for me. And who am I? Well, I am a certified surgical tech. I'm also a registered nurse. And before I started weeklybagel.com, this was 6 years ago. I was actually an Amazon driver, and prior to that, I was a janitor. This was like 12 years ago. I was a janitor, cleaning toilets in a convention center in my city's downtown. Now, why is this important that I tell you this? Well, 12 years ago and today, the man I am is not the same person. I have grown immensely because 12 years ago, when I first got into this country and I was trying to figure out my financial independence steps, I really suffered immensely, and the reason being there was no available financial resources to teach me what I need to do to stand on my 2 feet as a young working class adult. I was trying to figure it out. I didn't know how to write a check. I didn't know how to set up a bank account. I didn't know how to build my credit. So 12 years ago, it was really a lot as a young working class adult trying to figure it all out, and I made a lot of mistakes. Now, let me go back to the point where I told you 12 years ago I used to be a janitor that was cleaning the toilets, and what led to me being who I am today. Well, 12 years ago, I used to clean toilets in a city's convention center. It's called Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center in downtown San Antonio. And I would come in at work and clean the toilets. I would scrub the hell out of the toilet. And my supervisor was a lady who enjoyed tormenting me because I would clean the toilets and then she would go in and she would put her 2 fingers like this on the toilet seats, and that was the first time I've ever seen something like that, and it was absolutely nuts. Now imagine a young working class adult that was trying to come to work, make the best out of the situation he was given, and each time he scrubs the toilet, his supervisor would go to the toilet, lift the toilet seat up, and then touch the rim of the toilet, and then she would do this, and then she would say, "Hey Chime, come here," and then I would come, and then she looked in there and she would say, "The toilet is still dirty." Now, on my young mind, as the 22 years old young man that I was, I would look into the toilet and I would see that the toilet was sparkling clean. But I had no choice but to clean it over and over again. And sometimes she would make me do it for 3 to 4 times. And being a young immigrant then, I didn't know anything about labor laws or my rights as a worker. So she would do this 5 days a week for me, right? And it got to a point where I just started wondering. I started asking myself, I said, is this all there is to life? Now, I was struggling to make bills, right? And I was also in school taking classes while doing that. And each time I come into work, I expect to do my job and just leave. But because of this thing where each time I scrub the toilet, I was always being criticized and told that the toilet is not really white enough or clean enough, made me it made me sick. By sick, I mean it made me get tired of the whole entire system, and I started thinking that this is not all there is to life. And sometimes when I come to work, then I would throw up outside of work before coming in. And once I step in there, I would just feel like, oh my God, I said I have to go through this thing again. And kudos to that lady, because without her, I wouldn't have had the mindset to keep improving myself, right? Now, this is what happened. Not only would she make me scrub the toilet over and over again, she would, talk about having pride in the work that you do. Because for her, she's been doing that for more than 20 years, right? And then she'll be like, oh, Chime, you have to have pride in that toilet. Put on some smile when you're scrubbing the toilets. Even now that I'm thinking about it, I'm disgusted at the behavior, because I'm thinking, how low do you have to be as a person for you to make a workplace very toxic for your fellow co-worker, right? Okay, not only are you telling me now I don't have a problem scrubbing that toilet until it's sparkling clean, but the part where you have to be like, okay, you've been doing this for 20 years and you expect me to do that. I think for a young mind like me, or probably like you who is listening, it does something to you. It makes you start thinking this is not all there is to life. It makes you wanting to improve yourself. It makes you want to be a better person, because you're looking at this person and you're wondering, if this person had done this for 20 something years, and I don't criticize people that do manual labor. Trust me, I'm from the lowest of the lowest. I worked my way up, right? Well, my issue is, if this person has been doing this for more than 20 years, right? And you see somebody that just came up, that wants to come into your space and wants to work and contribute, and you're making it so miserable that the person can't even function, does that tell me that you actually hate your job? The part where the supervisor used to preach about loving the job, having pride in the work. I don't think so. Because reflecting about it over the years, I'm thinking the reason why you could make someone scrub that toilet that looks sparkling white over and over again is because you're miserable at your work. Why am I telling you this? Well, we're all young working class adults, and sometimes we have to work really hard to put food on the table, to have a roof over our head, right? To have certain access to certain necessities, right? And for us to be able to make that money to do that might require us to work jobs like the one that I did 12 years ago, right? And in working that job, you could be miserable, but you don't have a choice. If sometimes it feels like you don't have a choice, and sometimes you don't have a choice. But don't let that deter you. Because for me personally, 12 years ago, it got to a point where I couldn't function at work. I would be, if it got a point where I cried, I'm not gonna lie to you. Because I would come to work and I know that I'm a very brilliant guy and I have so many dreams. But the reason why I was doing that job was to pay my rent, or put food on the table for myself so I don't starve or become homeless. But the toxicity of such a workplace made it so hard that I would throw up before going into work, and I would literally shut down at work. And it was like I was zombified, doing a job like that. And that made me, one day I come in, I took out my badge, I threw it down, I said, okay, I'm not working anymore. I actually made up a white lie, that's how I quit that job. But anyway, the point remains. It made me started thinking that I have to set myself up for success. I have to be financially buoyant, so I don't have to go through that ever again. And that's why I started college. I graduated college 3 times with zero debt. And the reason being that, I worked and I went to college, because I keep hearing my peers then, they wouldn't work while they're going to college, and they would get all these debts to help them with their necessary living expenses, that by the time they graduate, they're graduating with debts. Well, for me personally, when I did the surgical tech degree, and also when I did the nursing degree, I I just simply worked. I worked so hard. I was paying my classes, I was paying for my living expenses, and because of that, I graduated with zero debt on board. Now, why am I telling you this? I feel like there are no programs, government-sponsored programs out there, right, to help young working class adults navigate lives on a daily basis, or to switch from that senior high school mentality where you're living under your mom or your dad or both parents, and suddenly you're out there in the world trying to make a living for yourself. There's no program to guide you towards that. There's no program to transit you fully into adulthood, to initiate us young working class adults into adulthood. And that is why a majority of us, once we leave our parents' nest and we start trying to stake a living out there, we make a lot of mistakes, most of it financially. Some of us eventually end up in serious debts. Others just keep doing the same job over and over, very miserable. Feels like there's no choice, there's nothing else to do. And sometimes most of this job, they make it in such a way that there's actually nothing else to do, because you don't even have the time to go back to college, right? Because that would mean you quitting that job. Now, there is a system in place to keep young working class adults dull, dreamless, and working so hard that at the end of the year they don't see a third of what they worked hard for. I want you to think about it, right? There's a system in place. I'm not saying that the government or somebody else out there is trying to subtly hold most young working class adults down, but I feel like there's something that is making it impossible for young working class adults to transit into adulthood easily, without accumulating a lot of debts, without making a lot of financial mistakes. And I noticed this when COVID started. Because when COVID started and a majority of my peers were out of jobs, some had to move back to their parents' house. Because I was fortunate enough to always, since that job 12 years ago, when I made that mentality shift of not having to go through a situation where I'm vulnerable, in the sense that I hate the job so much that I can't leave the job, or I hate the job so much that I have to keep on showing up and tolerating a lot of toxicity because I don't have money in my bank account. It made me start putting money aside, right? And when COVID happened, when some of my peers that I know we had to move back into their parents' house, I didn't have anybody to move in with, right? So it was my savings that actually helped put me through it. That is days where I didn't have enough shift to, get enough working hours to generate enough money to pay my necessary expenses. Savings did it for me. Because remember, during the COVID times, the bills were not waiting for us, right? The landlord didn't suspend rent payment. Most apartments were asking for rent. The CPS Energy in San Antonio, which is the company that generates electricity, we are asking for the electric bills, right? Your car notes didn't wait, your car insurance didn't wait. Every month, all those things we are due, right? So it's very imperative for us young working class adults to set up ourselves financially, at least maintain a semblance of financial stability, not just from the job that we have, but from the size of our bank account, so that if things like this happen, we will not be vulnerable. So that if we have enough in our bank accounts, we will not tolerate some levels of toxicity just because we want a job, right? That's why I started WeeklyBagel, to help guide young working class adults and simplify personal finance for them. So that way they are not constantly being financially vulnerable. Because remember, when you have a little bit of money, you have a little bit of freedom. The more money you have, the more freedom you have. I know you may be asking, oh, but I have freedom now. No, actually you don't. Take for instance, if you have a job that is paying you $15 an hour, right? and say you're bringing home after tax about $1,800 or $2,000, um, you're going to be able to handle your responsibility as an adult. But the day you are going to lose that job, you find out how easily fucked you are. I'm sorry for using that word, but that's the reality. The reason being that all these bills that you're constantly paying now, they will not wait for you to stand back on your feet, right? They will be like, hey, I need my money, I need my money. If you can't do that, certain access to certain necessities like shelter, food, electricity, even transportation are denied to you. That's how this country works. So obviously, if you're a young working class adult, you have to set yourself up financially or set yourself up for success so that when unforeseen circumstances happen, you're able to stand on your 2 feet. And there are no government-sponsored programs in place to transit young adults fully into adulthood by teaching them all these things. And that was what I noticed during the COVID pandemic. Now, what does Weekly Bagel, my platform, hope to achieve? Well, my goal is to be the platform where young adults could come in, and if they have any financial questions, they're able to get that from the platform. That I'm able to guide you from when you are still living with your parents and you're making your move to move out, to tell you the kind of job you need to get, tell you how to save your 6 months worth of expenses before you get an apartment, tell you where to get an apartment, the kind of credit score that you need to have, teach you about banking, how to open bank accounts, the right bank accounts to open, how to maintain your bank accounts, how to talk to your banker, how to build your credit. Because remember, once you're an adult and you start living on your own, credit is king, right? And now you may be asking me, hey, Mr. Chime, cash is king. Why would you say credit is king? Well, credit is king for people who do not have cash. And by cash, I'm not talking about $1,000 or $2,000. I'm talking about tens of thousands of dollars. Here is what I mean. Now, take for instance, if you're ready to buy a car, let's talk about like Toyota RAV4 2017, a car that is 8 years old or so. That car is being sold right now for $21,000. You'll be very, very lucky if you get it for $20,000 from a car dealership. Now, young working class adults like us, we don't walk around with $21,000, right? Hence, the need for a good credit history or a good credit score. Because the thing that happens is when you're ready to go buy a car and you have a very good credit score, your car dealership will help you acquire a car loan to help you purchase the vehicle that you need to drive yourself to work or to other places or move yourself around, right? Now, with a bad credit score, a bad credit history, or if you don't have any credit history at all, the interest rate on that loan is going to be higher than usual. Take for instance, if someone gets 8% interest rate on a car loan, you with a bad credit history and bad credit score, or no credit history or no credit score, will be getting about 12, 13, 14% on the same car loan, right? Hence the reason why I say that credit is king for young working class adults like us. Because if we have good credit score or if we have good credit history, we're able to afford some certain comforts and necessities like transportation, right? Even getting an apartment. Some apartments, before they rent you an apartment, I believe I mentioned this in one of my episodes on my podcast, that you need to have a good credit history or a good credit score. Otherwise, the apartment complex is going to ask for you to make a big down payment or a deposit as a security, just in case if you start struggling with rent, they could just deduct that. And yes, you need credit. Credit is king for young working class adults like us. Even just to get a college education, you need a good credit history. Because remember, if you're not able to afford federal student loan and you went to a bank to get a student loan to be able to finish up your education, the bank is still going to run a credit background check on you. So all these things are things that Weekly Bagel as a platform wants to tackle and simplify for you as a young working class. So that way, if you know the things that you need to know, you will make decisions that are best for you. You will make decisions that will not dig you in such financial debt or put you in a financial crisis where you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're barely surviving because you're busy paying that debt, or you stay stuck at a low paying job because you think you don't have a choice. Now, me, Mr. Chime, I want to be able to be that person that will guide you towards your own um, semblance of financial independence, because we all have our goals in life and my goal might be different from your goal, right? But I want you, my platform, I want my platform to be the one that will help you, guide you towards thinking about how best you could set yourself up to achieve your own version of the American dream, because the American dream differs from person to person. That's why most people, when they say, oh, the American dream is dead, the American dream is dead, I don't think it's dead. I think when you start subscribing to the societal idea of the American dream and you're unable to get it, that's what makes people say, oh, the American dream is there. But if you have your own path and you know what it is and you know what you want to get in life, or you know what you want your life to be all about, you know, and you're thinking about how you want to contribute in society or how you want to be remembered, then that path points to your American dream. At least that's what I think. So Weekly Bagel as a personal finance platform is going to be that platform that will help you make decisions, that will help you create the kind of financial stability and financial independence that you want. Now, what makes me qualified to teach you all this? I'm not a Wall Street guru. I'm not one of those gurus that tries to tell you, hey, if you invest $10,000 in a stock, you're gonna make millions of dollars. I don't even have $1 million. I'm a fellow young working class adult like you. Remember, I told you 12 years ago, I was a janitor cleaning toilets at downtown San Antonio. Today, I'm a certified surgical tech and I'm also a registered nurse. That's what makes me qualified, because I am qualified enough to talk to you because I've been down there. I've done dishwashing. I've done being a houseman, that's a housekeeper at a hotel. I've done janitorial job where I'm cleaning toilets. I'm scrubbing the hell out of it because my supervisor doesn't like how it looks. And I have done it all, and I've said to myself that I will never go back to doing a job like that. Hence why I went to college, hence why I am working very hard and taking jobs and contracts to get paid and put aside up to 30% of my annual salary, so that if anything is to happen, at least I'll have some months to carry on until I'm able to stand on my 2 feet again. And that's what I want you to do. That is my goal. Now, I'm not going to teach you how to be a millionaire. My platform might be the foundation where you eventually figure out how to be rich. But my goal is not to teach you how to be rich. My goal is to teach you how to leverage that working class job that you have to set yourself up financially for success. Because this is one thing I've noticed with young working class adults. Some young working class adults think that, okay, well, they have to create a product. They have to go on eBay to sell things to be rich and all that. Yeah, there have been people that have done that, but it's not everybody, right? Most people don't do that. Most people that are smart, use the job that they have to set themselves up for success. Take for instance, when I was in the surgical tech school, which was a 3-year program, by the way, when I was in college doing that program, I was driving for Amazon. You see those big blue Amazon vans? I was one of the drivers. I was driving the hell out of that, and I would deliver packages, hundreds of packages per day. The average number of houses I delivered packages was about 215. And I would come in at work at 6:30, get the packages from the warehouse, fill up my blue van, And then by the time I come back, it's about 5:30 p.m. Yep, almost 10 hours to 11 hours kind of job. That's what I did to pay my way through school. Was it easy? No. Was it possible? Yes, but I did it. And because of that, today, I'm able to earn a lot of money doing that, especially doing the contract traveling tech job. I'm able to make up to, in a year, if I take 4 contracts, I'm able to make up to 92,000 a year. Now, is that the kind of money that will make you rich? Probably not. But if you are making good decisions and you're saving money and all that, that money is your fortress of solitude, peace. It gives you a certain level of peace. If you hit a job, if you go to a workplace where the toxicity of the workplace is high, you don't have to stay there because you need money to pay bills. No, you could go out and go do something else. It gives you a voice. You're able to say what is on your mind. You're able to make decisions that are good for you because you have your savings. Because you know if something happens, you're able to last for some months trying to figure your way up again. And that's what I need you to be. In fact, I want you to even be better than me. I want Weekly Bagel to be the platform where you can leverage that working class job that you have to make decisions that will take you anywhere that you want in life. I don't know where you want to go, but I want to be the person guiding you, and you and I will figure it out together. Why? Because I'm also a young working class adult. So I teach you, you teach me. Together we learn from one another. So Weekly Bagel is basically gonna be drawn from my experience because I've been through a lot in this country and I've managed to set myself up nicely through hard work and grit. And when I'm simplifying personal finance for you, I'm simplifying it because I have lived it, because I've done it all, right? And I'm here now. So that's why I wanted to make this video. Since this is the first time I'm expanding into YouTube, I want to be able to talk about why I'm doing this. Now, with the Weekly Bagel platform, I write an article once a week and I release my podcast episode once every 2 weeks. And with the YouTube platform that I'm expanding into, I'm hoping to do once a week videos, but remember, I'm still working. So we try to keep it at least 2 videos a month. If it's possible, I will do once a week video where I release a video every Sunday. If it's not a Sunday, then it's gonna be on a Wednesday, just like I do with my podcast. Well, what do you want to know about me? Besides the fact that I'm a surgical tech and I'm a registered nurse, and I used to be a janitor 12 years ago, well, I taught myself how to swim. I know. You're gonna be like, how do you teach yourself how to swim? I did. So I grew up in a country where we didn't really have much, right? And my city, we didn't have a swimming pool. So, but we had a river. It's called River Niger that passes through the city. And I would go to the river and tie a rope on my waist and jump into the river and then do the swimming style that I saw on TV. And I know, thinking about it now, that was a very foolish thing for me to do, but I was so desperate to learn how to swim that I had to do that to learn how to swim. And today I can swim very well on my own. I mean, you could throw me into any river and I won't drown as long as I keep swimming. Now, you see the part where some people, they're in the river and they're floating stationary in one river. Now I can do that. If I do that, I will drown. But as long as I keep moving around, I won't drown. That's how I taught myself how to swim. Also, I'm a weightlifter. I'm a heavy weight lifter. I've been lifting weight for 4 years now. And I also do Muay Thai as a hobby. I won't call it a hobby if somebody's hitting me on the face. But I enjoy physical fitness is basically what I'm trying to do. So on a regular week, if I'm not working, you find me at the gym or you find me at the fight training camp. I enjoy doing that very well. I also love hiking. I do a little bit of rock climbing here and there. I love going to the beach. Mostly, I love writing, as you can see from the Weekly Bagel platform itself. So it's a pleasure to meet you, and I hope we grow together as we grow together through this platform, because that's really my goal overall. I want to be able to grow with you. I want to be able to tell you a little bit of my life and how I'm handling daily challenges, just like you're handling daily challenges. And we share my way of simplifying personal finance, saving money, acquiring debt in a very smart way to build my credit, or even like giving you some pay advance apps that will help you take care of bills when your paycheck does not drop on time. That's what I'm here for, basically. And hopefully this is gonna be a wonderful thing. I'm already seeing into the future. You know, I'm just putting it out there in the universe that this decision to expand into YouTube is going to be one where young working class adults that have not figured it out yet would look at my life story and be inspired and try to be better than me. And looking at my mistakes too, we learn from my mistakes to be a better person. And I hope that these young working class adults that are, that will be listening to the things that I have to say, we not make the mistakes I've made, or have life so hard the way I had it 12 years ago, that they had to go through what I go through. So here is to us young working class adults who are masters of our soul and captain of our ship. It's really nice to meet you, Mr. Chime out.